So I thought what I'd do this weekend, in light of the beautiful gospel on what we call the rich young man, to share a bit that story of coming here to St. Mary's. So I had a conversion when I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, I didn't believe in God until I started reading the lives of the saints. And it rocked my world. I fell so in love with God when I learned about the saints and how they loved God. And I also, as I was reading, learned about kind of the apparitions of the Blessed Virgin Mary and miracles in the church. I was just discovering how wonderful and awesome our Catholic faith is. We need to tell the whole world. But anyways, one of the saints I read about who had a huge impact on me was St. John Vianney, the curé of Ars, and he's the universal patron of all parish priests. And one of his gifts is he had the gift of knowledge. He was very well known. If you would go to confession to him, he would sometimes fill in the blanks for you. And he would remind you of things no one else knew except you. And always gently, lovingly, he'd help fill in the blanks. He had a gift of knowledge, and this manifested itself in a number of ways, but also sometimes a mother would go to Father Vianney and say to him, "Father, my little son here, Jean-Claude, he says he wants to be a priest. What do you think?" And Father Vianney would look at the boy, kind of pray, and then he might say something like, "You know what? He might actually make a good father and husband." And then another mother would come with her son and say, "Oh, this is little, Pierre, he thinks he might want to be a priest." And Father Vianney would look and pray, and he would say, "Yeah, foster that vocation. Don't discourage him. If he wants to be a priest, encourage that." So again, he had a gift of knowledge. So when I was reading this as a teenager, I was thinking to myself, "Oh, I need someone like him today." Like, can you imagine just being able to go knock on a priest's door and say, "Could you let me know what my vocation is?" It'd make discernment so much easier. But the thing that came to me when I was thinking about this was, okay, the saints in heaven can help us more now that they're in heaven than they could when they were on earth. So I got this idea, and it still kind of baffles my mind that I was doing this as a teenager. I got this idea as a teenager to pray for 40 days for the Lord to reveal to me what my vocation was through the intercession of St. John Vianney. It was right before Lent, so I did this during Lent. So every night I'd pray to the Lord that he would show me what my vocation was through the intercession of St. John Vianney. So after 40 days of prayer, I still didn't have a clue what my vocation was. But I had a deep sense of peace and conviction that I didn't need to worry about what my vocation was, that when the time comes for me to need to know what my vocation is, I'll know. I had just a conviction. I had peace with that. So I was very blessed. There's a lot of young people that are kind of anxious and worried, "Oh, what's my vocation?" I didn't have any anxiety about that. I knew when the time comes, I would know. And so then I came to St. Mary's when I started university. I was 17 years old, studying at Carleton University. And I had read some of Father Bob's writings, Father Bob Bedard's writings, and I loved how Father Bob wrote, what he had to say, his kind of just his love for the Lord and his kind of sense of things in the church today. And so I came to St. Mary's, and I remember when I just after coming here a few times, it was a weekday mass in the evening, and I was sitting right back there, maybe where Thomas is sitting, just in the back corner there, and I was talking to Father Bob. And you see, at the time when I started my studies, it was computer engineering, and it was when the high tech was booming, and I was like, I loved computers. I did very well in those studies, and I was looking forward to working in the high tech and all of that. But when I would kind of ponder spending the rest of my life working in the high tech, my heart didn't find peace. And part of it is, you probably never noticed this, but I'm a pretty intense guy, okay? And also, like everyone, I've got some gifts. And I just thought to myself, because I'm a pretty intense guy and I've got some gifts, if I get into the high tech, I'm going to give my whole heart, my energy, my intensity to the high tech, which is great if that's your calling. But I just felt like, I don't feel that my heart wants to do this, finds peace with this. And because I'd read the lives of the saints and all that, and especially about holy priests, I thought I got one short life. I would love to consecrate my life to God and follow Jesus in a consecrated life, maybe even the priesthood. So when I was talking to Father Bob, telling him about my my studies, but also what was on my heart, I shared this with him. Now, the funny thing is, I didn't even know it was Father Bob, because I told him, I said, yeah, and I've been reading these what Father Bob Bedard has been writing, and he's like, that's me, and I'm like, what? Really? I thought Father Francis Frankovich was Father Bob Bedard, and it's funny, someone after the 9 a.m. Mass, she said when she came here years ago, she also thought Father Francis Frankovich was Father Bob Bedard until it clued in. So anyways, I didn't feel that stupid after she told me that. So what's my point? The point is I shared with Father Bob, that I was studying computers and I was, excited about it, but I thought the Lord might be calling me to the priesthood. I don't feel worthy to be a priest, but, I'm not sure. And so what Father Bob told me is he said, well, why don't you join the Companions of the Cross for a year and see how it goes? Now, for me, this was kind of like my rich young man moment where I was being invited to something. I was being invited to change the course in my life, to let go of what I was quite attached to and to do something different. And I remember when I went back to my apartment, I was anxious, and it was huge. That was a big decision, especially because my mom and dad were so proud of me. I was on a nice career path, and they were kind of happy about that. And I certainly, if my friends heard I was joining the seminary, I don't know what they'd think. But the point is, I was very anxious, very worried. So I went to my apartment. I turned to the Lord in prayer, and as I turned to Him in prayer, all of a sudden, just this grace, this peace, this light came over me. Not in a literal sense, but just this understanding. And I remembered the 40 days I prayed as a teenager. And I just knew with clarity, this is the moment I've been waiting for. Just the circumstances of my life have led to this moment, to coming to St. Mary's Parish. And I fell, even before meeting Father Bob, I fell in love with the Companions of the Cross and what the Lord was doing. And even St. Mary's, I'd come before as a teenager to St. Mary's when things were booming, and I just thought, oh wow, God is working here. This is my dream. I want the whole world to be in love with God, and it's happening at St. Mary's Parish. And so in my apartment, I really felt the Lord showing me that this is the moment you've been waiting for. Yes, I am calling you to join the Companions. Now, when you discern, you don't know your whole future. At the moment, I just felt clearly that the Lord was calling me to take this first step of spending a year with the Companions, and that He wanted me to be part of what God was doing with the Companions of the Cross and at St. Mary's Parish. So I said yes. And then I had a very awkward conversation at Christmas. I went home, after the first semester to my family, to inform, my mom and dad that, hey, I've been discerning the priesthood. I talked to Father Bob, the founder of the Companions of the Cross. He invited me to join the Companions for a year, and I said yes, And again, they were a little surprised, and my dad kind of suggested, well, maybe you should finish your studies first and, be sure and all that. But I really felt that this was what I was supposed to do. So I joined the Companions of the Cross, and my parents were supportive, but I loved it. Oh, I loved my seminary studies, and my whole seminary, there was kind of a clear sense that I was where I was supposed to be. There was a joy, and I felt I didn't deserve such a wonderful grace. Like a lot of guys in the seminary, they're not sure if that's what they're supposed to do, and they're wondering and discerning. Well, for me, I joined, and I just felt at home, and I loved every minute of it. And then I was ordained a priest, and I've loved my priesthood. I'm a happy priest, It doesn't mean I don't have challenges and difficulties, but I really do felt like I found my calling, And my point here this weekend is I believe every single one of us is meant to find our calling in life. And for every one of us, it's different. Some of us are called to the priesthood. Some of us are called to the religious life. Some of us are called, like St. Joseph, to be a good father, husband, and carpenter. But the point is the rich young man in the gospel, he didn't have the courage, the love, the faith to just let go of all the things he was attached to and follow Jesus. And what does it say in the gospel? He went away grieving. Other translations say he went away sad. And I believe that when we find our calling in life, when we surrender, when we say an unconditional yes to God, God, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it because I love you and I have confidence in you. I believe in your goodness for me. When we say yes to God and follow Him, He gives us life in abundance. We have that joy and also energy and zeal that only heaven can give us, and the Lord makes our lives fruitful. You know, there's fruitfulness, there's life, there's power. And so, during this time of St. Mary's Revival, our rallying cry is, everyone surrendering everything to the Lord. And I want to renew that challenge. I do believe we're at a time at St. Mary's where the Lord wants to revive the grace that he has for this place. But what it involves is every one of us in our own way just surrendering everything to the Lord. Saying to the Lord, Lord, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. I trust you. I believe in you. I want to do your will. Like Father Bob Bedard said, the only thing worth doing in life is God's will. So this weekend, again, I challenge you, say yes to the Lord. Say to the Lord, Lord, whatever it is you're calling me to, I will do. I will follow you.